So I'm gonna see him. Okay. We're live now.
Oh, I'm so tickled. Oh my, I'm hot. I'm really hot.
He's so
We have had some technical problems tonight. I don't even know where to begin, but welcome. I'm just gonna check on Facebook real quick and make sure everything is good. My goodness.
Please check the stream and see if it's just me.
We're live. All right. I think. Woof. Well.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Shari, talk to the people for a minute. I gotta check something.
Okay.
There we are. Okay.
This has just been the craziest time getting on tonight. I don't think we've ever had it be like this. So we started off on this one platform. Are you good?
I think we're good.
Okay, I can't tell. Is Jamie's voice off for you guys where he's talking and then you hear him? Or is it just me that sees it like that? I can't tell, but I don't think it matters, Jamie.
Keep talking, Shari. I'm checking something out.
Okay, so technology is not being very kind to us tonight, and so we were just scrambling around here trying to figure out how to get on with all of you. Hi, everyone. Everyone's jumping on, so I'm just going to say hi, and this is Jamie's Facebook page, and I'm Shari Criso.
Apparently, we're all good. Apparently, all is good. Jeff Durkee is blaming it on the bourbon, but I've not had any bourbon. I've not had anything to drink. I do have a glass of wine, but all the technology just went to complete crap tonight for some reason.
They're all saying it seems normal, except Jamie, I can't even look at you because you're like just so delayed with me. His voice syncs up. And is my voice syncing up? Not for Shari, but he's fine. It's me.
Boom! What a mess tonight, but whatever.
Okay, is this going to be annoying for everybody to see? We're both real time? Okay, Joe's saying we're both real time, so everybody's saying it's fine, Jamie.
Okay, great.
I'm not going to look at you. I'm just going to look here, and you guys.
Well, hi everyone. It's just me and Shari living our best lives here on Monday with the hot mess that is blue jeans, and then we tried Be Live, what I sometimes use, and that was just not working. So then we came back to this. So now we are here, and everything is great. I've got some peanuts over here. I was craving the peanuts, so I ran downstairs and got some. So this is our monthly Q&A about breastfeeding and pumping, brought to you by the lovely ladies at Evenflo Feeding. I'm sure a lot of you have watched this. Now I have to burp in the hiccups. What is wrong tonight? Give us some hearts to let us know you're here. There is also a link in the caption that you will need to use to enter the contest, but don't do that until we're over because you need to hear the information. You all know me. For those of you who are new, Shari, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So hi everyone, good to see you all again. I am Shari Criso and I am a registered nurse. I'm a certified nurse midwife and an international board certified lactation consultant and a friend of Jamie's forever and ever and ever. And I also work with Evenflo Feeding and help them to design their amazing hospital strength advanced double electric breast pump, which is the prize tonight. And just so excited to be here with you guys again. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now. I can't even believe it. And we just get that time to be able to answer your questions. So tonight's the night to ask away.
Indeed it is. I am actually going to get off my Facebook for a second, and I'm going to go and grab some questions, because we had some questions left for us, which is the point, you know.
Absolutely.
Just give me a moment here. Boop, boop, boop. All right.
And like you were saying, we have a little bit of a different way to enter to win tonight. So Joe's going to go. Well, Joe, will you post that for us? There's a link, and then you guys afterwards make sure that you you click on that to enter. That's how we'll be pulling the winner tonight.
Right. I'm curious about weaning. I'm 12 weeks pregnant, but still breastfeeding my 19-month-old who is totally attached to the boob. I'm not sure how to wean or where to start, or will I be limiting my new baby's nutrition by tandem feeding? Thanks for all your advice.
Well, you know, you don't need to wean. I mean, I'm not sure from the question whether it's something that you're interested in doing, whether you really want to wean, or if you're just concerned about tandem feeding. So let's just address it as two separate issues. One is if you are trying to wean your 19-month-old, it's the main thing is you want to do this slowly. Doing some extra activities during the day. Usually at that age, you can kind of distract them a little. What you want to do is just start cutting out feedings slowly, not all at once. Usually moms will usually wait for their last feeding of the night and their first feeding in the morning to make those their last to completely wean off. But if you are, doing it slowly is going to help. And then the other thing is, if you don't want to wean, because that's what it sounds like, is that it's not going to hurt your newborn's nutrition to feed both. It is very, very common, and it's very fine. It's fine. It's normal to feed two at the same time. Your body will adjust to be able to make enough milk, and actually the appropriate milk for your newborn as well. So I guess I would give you some tips for tandem feeding, which would be to make sure that your newborn is always getting the breast first. Remember, your 19-month-old is getting complementary foods, extra solids at this point. So you want to make sure that your newborn's getting everything that they need, and then follow with your 19-month-old. But you can feed them both at the same time too. This is a myth that you cannot breastfeed during pregnancy. This is a myth that you can't feed two babies at the same time in a healthy way. So I would continue to keep going. And, many people will actually even pump a little extra for their older children, because the nutrition that your child's getting from breast milk does not end. So, this whole idea that, after a year, they don't really need it, it's not true at all. So I would keep going, Mama.
Very good. This is interesting, because we talk about this not every month, but pretty frequently. My little guy is 12 weeks. At 6 weeks, found out he is dairy, soy intolerant. I immediately cut those out of my diet, and the baby's much happier. Last week at his checkup, the pediatrician was mildly concerned that he needs to gain a few more pounds before his next checkup. Is there anything I can do to help him bulk up, or anything I can add to my diet?
The answer is no. The answer is no, and most likely not necessary. If your child is within the normal range on the growth charts and growing properly and peeing and pooping and thriving and hitting milestones and not seeming hungry after the feedings, this idea of trying to bulk them up, first of all, you can't do it. Nor do you want to do it. Okay, overfeeding a baby is not the answer. And who decided how much that baby actually needs to gain? Typically, the pediatricians can be a little bit aggressive about how much a baby needs to gain, and they're usually comparing them to a formula-fed baby, which will gain faster than a breastfed baby usually. So I would say what I usually recommend somewhere between 4 to 8 ounces per week on average is a normal growth and weight gain for a breastfed baby. And there's nothing that you can eat in your diet that is actually going to increase the fat content in your milk enough to make your baby gain more than they really need to gain, or that they're gaining. breastfed babies are lean and typically grow at their own rate. And what will happen is they'll hit normal growth spurts throughout the year, especially in those first 6 months where they're growing at different times. So it may be that your baby just hasn't hit how old did she say the baby was, Jamie?
12 weeks.
12 weeks. Okay, so one of the main growth spurts occurs at 3 months, which is right now. So it could be that the baby's just coming up on a growth spurt, and you'll know that because he'll seem hungry every hour and wanting to eat a lot. And usually they do grow like that is, at growth spurt times versus consistently throughout every single week. And that's why I said before, when I recommend 4 to 8 ounces on average, it's because you don't want to be weighing the baby every single week. Some weeks you'll see no weight gain. Some weeks you'll see a lot of weight gain. And on average, after the month is over, you'll look back and say, was it about 4 to 8 ounces per week on average? If it is, everything's fine.
Very good. Anne has a question. Best way to get rid of a blocked duct? And my 2-month-old is still really bad with bottles, even though he's gotten at least 1 feeding daily of pumped milk since we came home. Any tips? So it's 2, really.
What was it? The baby has bubbles? Is that what you said?
No, best way to get rid of a blocked duct is question 1. So we'll start with that.
Okay. So blocked duct, what that is, it's where milk can solidify within the breast in certain areas, in the ducts of the breast. So it's so funny because I see your delay, Jamie, and as I'm talking and answering the questions, all of a sudden you're doing this, and I can't focus on it. I got to look away from you.
Just ignore me.
I'm going to ignore you. That's why I'm looking up in the sky today. So the block is somewhere in the breast, usually feels like a lump underneath the skin. And the best thing you can do, you really want to get on top of it. You don't want to let that stay there because it can turn into mastitis. The milk is being blocked from behind that area, and that's where you can get a breast infection. Plus, by not expressing from that area of the breast, you can decrease your supply. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So you want to make sure that you're clearing that out. The best way to clear out the plugged ducts is moist heat. Applying moist heat to the area is going to help to make that area, all the blood vessels will expand, and it will help to get the milk to flow. Plus, massaging the area is really going to help. So massage the blockage or the plug that you feel, and then nurse the baby a lot on that side or pump. Trying to keep the breast empty is the number one thing that you can do to clear out that plug. But again, it's really important that you get on top of it. I actually recommend when you're breastfeeding, before each feeding, to do a little breast exam. And I'm talking about like just quick feel over the breast. If you feel any lumps, because usually you can feel them, you can feel them to touch before you feel them like pain. And it's the easiest time to clear them out. Massaging them while you're pumping, like a nice firm circular massage or moist heat applied when you're breastfeeding or pumping, you should be able to clear that out right away.
So they need to get themselves Rachel's Remedy.
And Rachel's Remedy, for sure. Rachel's Remedy is one of the best things for clearing plugged ducts and preventing mastitis and increasing milk flow. So yeah, it'll help you to wear it all the time because it's waterproof.
Joe put a link. And 2-month-old is still really bad with bottles, even though they've done 1 bottle feeding a day since he came home. Any tips for bottles?
Stick with it. What you don't want to do is give up, because right now at this point, the 2-month, even right now at 8 weeks, it can be difficult. Babies develop a sucking preference or a nipple preference one way or the other. And so you'll see babies that are introduced bottles and they're given a lot of bottles will have difficulty going back to the breast. Babies that are given the breast will have sometimes difficulty going to the bottle. One of the things that happen, when they're sucking on the breast or they're sucking on the bottle, the sucking is different. And so make sure that you're at the very least pacing your feedings, that you're not starting with a bottle that's flowing too fast. They can start blocking it off, putting their tongue in the wrong place, and just to control the flow. have somebody else feed the baby. And typically I don't recommend that because as a mom, you can feed your baby a bottle. But if your baby's rejecting it, sometimes they're just too smart at that point. They see you, they want you, and they're not going to take it. Sometimes having someone else introduce the bottle to the baby will really make a difference. And the other thing that I would say is a little bit of distraction too. At 2 months, I guess they can be distracted as well. Holding the baby outward. And what I mean by that is if you're holding your baby in a breastfeeding position, a breastfed baby will tend to turn towards the breast and want the breast. If you kind of hold the baby upright but outward, that may just change it up enough for the baby to take it and stick with it. Yes, Stephanie, yes. And also get a good bottle to make sure that you're feeding your baby a bottle that actually they can suck on and that they're comfortable sucking on. And Stephanie's posting the Evenflo balance bottles, and they're definitely a really good. What?
I just pulled this off my shelf.
Yeah, that's a really great choice for a breastfed baby.
It's got a nice place here, good shelf. They can.
Yeah.
I nail that demo every time.
I can't read your lips tonight.
It's okay. Jamie has a question. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. My supply seems to dip at nighttime, and I'm not sure what to do about it. I drink plenty of water throughout the day. My little guy seems to be satisfied, but I feel like I'm not producing that much. Anything I can do to up my supply in the evening hours?
Such a great question. You know, what I love about some of these breastfeeding questions is that it's the questions that everyone has, because what we're actually describing is normal breastfeeding physiology. And so everyone's milk drops in the evening hours. And how many of you guys out there, I'm just going to ask the audience here, how many of you guys have more milk in the morning and less milk in the evening? Because that is typically what you have. In middle of the night, it'll kind of increase, and then first thing in the morning, you're nice and full. And then right that late afternoon, early evening into the evening hours, the milk supply drops. There's nothing that you need to do. The baby may need to cluster feed a little bit more at night. But remember that when the baby is drinking first thing in the morning, what they're getting is a lot of water and a hydration, okay? The body is so smart, okay? It's not the same feeding from feeding to feeding. It's not the same from the one feeding to the next. They may be getting a lot more water in the morning or a bigger feeding that hydrates them. Then as the day goes on and they're moving into the evening hours, the milk becomes, there's less volume, but the fat content increases when the volume drops. That's just the way breast milk works. So as the breast milk volume drops and that fat content increases, it's giving the baby a lot of nice fat for calories and also helping them to sleep hopefully better. So you just may need to feed a little more frequently, but I would not worry about your supply. You're going to feel less empty. You're going to feel less full. You're going to feel more empty and less full. Totally, totally normal. It's one of the reasons why when I talk a lot about breastfeeding, it's always about the myths, the facts, the things, because if you just understood the norms, it usually answers all your questions.
And I think we've talked about this before, but it always bears repeating, like how much a baby actually eats, because I did not know until I went through classes. And, you go into these stores and you see all of these bottles that are anywhere from 4 to 5 ounces all the way to 8, 9, 10 ounce bottles. And as a pregnant woman, if you see this and you don't know how much a newborn actually eats, if you see this giant old bottle, you're like, my baby is supposed to eat all this, and I'm definitely not producing enough there. And that's completely incorrect, because a newborn stomach is like the size of a marble.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually tonight I didn't put all the bottles together, but what I'll do is I have a great infographic that I'll post later that shows you the size of, how much in a bottle that a baby will take throughout the first couple days and weeks. But what I did do is pour pour a bottle of a full feeding. So, and this is literally 4 ounces right here. And you can see it's one of the little Evenflo Feeding storage milk containers. And this is at 4 ounces. And I'm showing you this because typically a breastfed baby will get up to about this amount, somewhere about 6 weeks or so. And then the quantity that they eat per feeding doesn't really change from this for the whole rest of the year. So this idea that they need to eat these big, bottles full, 8, 9 ounces is completely incorrect. And it leads moms to think that when they can't pump that much and they can't pump 8 ounces, that somehow the baby's not getting enough. It's really important to know this. This is like probably one of the most important things to know is how much does your baby eat if you're going to pump. Now, if you're never going to pump and you're just with your baby and you're breastfeeding, obviously you don't need to know that because you're never going to see it. And that's kind of how nature intended it, but it's not how we live here in the United States. So, moms need to pump. They need to know how much they're leaving for their babies. This is important also when you're leaving your baby in daycare. And you've got maybe a daycare provider that is comparing how much you're leaving per feeding to how much the baby next to you is being left with a formula bottle that may be twice this amount. They could wind up overfeeding your baby, giving everything all at one feeding, and then telling you you're not making enough.
Yeah. That's actually a good segue into this next question because Nikki, I'm currently exclusively pumping 6 months for twins. Strong work. I feel like a cow and I'm very touched out. Are there any tips to make pumping less of a chore or make oneself feel better about? Breastfed first for a year. This is just a very different journey. Thank you both for what you do.
She's exclusively pumping for twins?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, first of all the love and honor to her because that's not an easy thing to do. Exclusively pumping is like, first of all, just not easy, but doable. And at the same time, it takes a huge commitment. And so I always have a lot of love and for exclusively pumping moms, and I know what they're going through. But for twins, you're talking about twice as much. Now, that may seem like an overwhelming task, except the fact that breast milk is a supply and demand thing. So if you are demanding that much or pumping that much, your body should be able to continue to produce the amount that you need for both babies. One thing I would look at is, this happens all the time. Moms will say, I was pumping enough, but now I'm not. Remember that in the beginning, you're going to be engorged. There's going to be more milk than your body needs. As long as you continue to express that out, you should continue to make that amount. But if you're not making that amount, it's probably something that you're doing. Now, when I say that, I don't mean intentionally it's something you're doing, but it's something that is causing it to happen rather than some medical condition where your milk just dries up. If you were able to make it before, you should be able to make it again. And if that's the case that it's decreasing, the first thing I would look to is the pump. Is the pump functioning? Remember, breast pumps, not all breast pumps are meant to be used 24 hours a day pumping for twins. So is it a pump that is functioning well? Are the parts okay? Do you need new membranes? Do you need new valves? Because if you don't change them frequently, and if you're pumping that often, you're probably going to need to change them frequently. Those are the little pieces. I'll show you here. The part that I'm talking about is this little membrane here, okay? On the Evenflo, it's like that. Those wear out, and when they wear out, you're not going to get the same suction to the pump. And all pumps have either a membrane or a valve on there. So that's the first thing I would check. Make sure that you're not shoving things in there and stretching them out. That will decrease your suction as well. But the other part is to make, if your pump is working and then make sure your flanges are fitting. If all that's good, then I would just try to figure out how to use your pump in a way to get more milk out. If you can't, you may need a different pump. I mean, that's just my answer, because if the pump is not functioning to get your milk out and you made it before, there's something not right.
Yeah. That's actually a good segue. to actually talk about the Evenflo pump, since you have it right there, and that is coming up. Get it out, girl.
Here it is. Okay, so this is the Evenflo Feeding advanced double electric breast pump. It's definitely an amazing pump. This pump is has just all the features. You know, as a nurse midwife, as a lactation consultant, as someone who has been in this world for over 25 years working with new moms, you know, frontline, like really sitting with them, pumping with them, and understanding what they need. It's one of the reasons why Evenflo asked me to help design the breast pump because we wanted from a clinical perspective, from a mom's perspective, what works and what are the features that are most important. The most important features on a breast pump that I would consider, and we'll go through them, or I can show them the video. Jamie, should we do that?
Yeah, show the video.
Okay, so I have a breast pump checklist, and I'm going to show you this video that has a checklist on there of the 4 things that are most important when you are looking at a breast pump, and the Evenflo Feeding has all of those. Plus, it is also a hospital strength pump, which is fantastic. So let me go to the pump checklist. There we go. Is it working?
Not on my.
Let's face it, your breast pump is one of the most important items that you will get when it comes to your baby. Do you know what to look for? While some pumps may come with a fancy name or price tag, they may be missing the most essential features which can affect the functionality and the performance. You don't want your pump to suck. Before you choose your breast pump, make sure you learn the features that are most important and must-haves. All you have to do is follow my breast pump checklist. All pumps come with either an open system or a closed system. Open systems do not have a barrier to prevent milk from getting into the tubes of your pump. This can cause mold, bacteria, and viruses to grow. True closed systems keep your tubing clean and protect your precious milk. In order to get the most out of your breast pump and your breasts, you'll need a pump with independent speed and suction controls. Pumps that have one dial, minimal settings, or features that try to do it for you will not allow you to be fully in control. My 3-stage pumping method for getting more milk out depends on this feature. Not all women come in the same size. The flange, which goes up against your breast, comes in different sizes too. If your flange does not fit, you will feel pain and you will not be able to get your milk out. Since the best fit is determined while using it, always look for a pump that includes multiple flange sizes in the box. Even with the best planning, there are things you just can't plan for, like being near a power outlet when you need to use your pump. Having a pump that's portable, lightweight, and most of all has a battery power option is essential. That way, you will always be ready and it will turn on when you need it. When choosing your breast pump, just follow this short, simple list and you will get what you need. All right. Well, that was easy. But you know, really, when we talk about what to look for in a breast pump, those 4 things, this pump really has, this pump really has, why are you red?
Because I get tickled and I get tickled and I turn red. That's just how I'm built. But I'm also sitting in front of a light and I turn my fan off so it would be quiet. So I'm hot.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, you were laughing and it was like delayed, so I can't tell if it's now or if something was going on. Okay, so yeah, these features, the 4 features are the most important when it comes to functionality. And so those are the ones on the checklist because you really need to know. Did anybody not know something that I said on that checklist? What are your favorite features that I went over there? Which ones surprised you? Which ones do you think are the most important of the list that I gave you? Because, you know, a lot of people are looking for battery option too. That's one that I recently added. And it's because look where even right now with all the issues and the hurricanes and power outages, you don't ever want to be caught where you can't pump because you're not near an outlet. And so it definitely becomes a functionality feature to not have that ability to use your battery.
And on that note, I just want to give another shout out to Evenflo because they sent me many, many, many boxes of bottles and sippy cups to send down to Harvey victims. So thank you guys. That was good stuff. Jennifer has a question. I'm a month into nursing my baby. My rainbow baby, congrats. My nipples are still raw and I have a milk blister. Does it get better? She feeds every 2 hours. Does having a tiny milk blister affect my milk? I tried expressing and Epsom salt and it doesn't want to come out.
Yeah, the milk blister will affect your milk because what will happen is it's actually a blockage in one of the ducts that leads towards the outsides. That means the milk behind that cannot express. And when you don't express your milk and the milk's not coming out, eventually what happens is that area of the breast can dry up. So you don't want to do that. And, you know, or you can get a breast infection. Again, that's just a milk blister is like a plug at the tip of the nipple versus within the breast itself. And so soaking is really a great way to get rid of a milk blister, you know, like literally taking a bowl of hot water and leaning over and soaking the breast directly into it. It'll soften that plug and then feed the baby or pump. Usually if you do that and you soak it and soften it, the baby can suck it right out. It's totally fine for them to do that. And if it still doesn't go away, because they're pretty painful. I mean, I've had that and it is super painful. If it's still not going away with all of that, then I would go see your physician and they can usually open it up for you.
Very good. Angela, I've started menstruating and I feel like every month I hit a point where my supply slows way down and I'm grumpy and nursing constantly. Any suggestions?
Yeah, it's really hard. You know, for some moms, they won't get their period again until they stop breastfeeding, which is like that one of those, you know, benefits, but not everybody benefits from it. You know, lots of people will get their period like quickly within the first 6 weeks and throughout their entire breastfeeding journey. One of the problems is going to be that the hormone levels are fluctuating again. You're getting that estrogen surge. All those things can decrease your supply right before your period comes. And so nursing more, understanding what's happening, knowing that even if you have a dip, if you nurse more frequently, your baby will still get enough. Watch those wet and poopy diapers at that time. And sometimes a galactagogue, like, you know, drinking the milkmaid tea or taking some fenugreek, that can all help you just specifically at those times when you are about to get your period. It could make a big difference. But overall, most moms, if they just increase their frequency of their feedings just through those couple days, they can get through without anything. Increasing water. Let's talk about that because I don't know if that was this question or it was one before about her supply and trying to increase her water intake. I just want to talk about that for a minute because, again, one of those myths that drinking lots of water is what's going to increase your supply. And that's true if you are dehydrated. Okay, so if you're dehydrated and that's the reason your supply is low, then yes, drinking more water or like somebody just said, coconut water. Yes, coconut water can help because it's going to help to hydrate you. Anything that will rehydrate you is going to help your supply. But that being said, drinking more water, like forcing fluids to try to increase supply as a method, does not work. And it can actually have the opposite effect, where it can actually decrease your supply if you don't need more. So you drink to thirst. I don't really like saying that anymore. We used to say that, but drinking to thirst isn't so great, because you could be dehydrated and not thirsty. So it's more about your pee. I would say watch your pee. If your pee is like a pale yellow, then you're hydrated. If your pee is concentrated and dark yellow, then you need to drink more. It's a better indication than whether you're thirsty. Usually you're really thirsty when you're nursing, so it's not an issue. But I don't want that to be your main gauge.
Your pee should not look like Gatorade.
No, it shouldn't. And speaking of Gatorade, I know a lot of moms talk about using Gatorade as a way to increase supply. I personally would not do that. I know people say it works, but the reason that it may be working is, again, the same reason why we just said coconut water. That's because it's great at hydrating. If you're missing those electrolytes and your body's dehydrated, then Gatorade can help. But you're also taking in all that sugar and all those artificial colors that I would not want to be drinking for myself or when I'm breastfeeding. So I would stay away from the Gatorade. And if you want something to really hydrate, coconut water.
My phone just fell off. All right. Jesse has a question. I posted on another thread, but I'd love advice on weaning my 4-week-old from a nipple shield due to poor shallow latch. She doesn't transfer much with it, so I'm forced to pump and bottle feed most of the time, which is hard with my 2.5-year-old to take care of too.
Yeah. Well, nipple shields can be great, when you need them. If your baby's not latching, if you have flat nipples, if your baby, if you've got very sore nipples, and this is something you want to do with the lactation consultant's help, because there can be consequences to using a nipple shield. And unfortunately, they're just sold right at the store. And lots of moms will say, I just got one just in case. I really wouldn't do that. Without the help of a lactation consultant, because you want to make sure the baby can transfer less with the nipple shield on. That means that they're not getting all the milk out, possibly, not everyone, but possibly. And then when that happens, you can decrease your supply. So you really want to be working with someone. If you're trying to wean off of a shield, a couple things I would consider is, one, that you are not trying to do it too soon. Whatever that reason was that got you on there, people want, they use a shield for a day and they want to be done. It may not be time. So make sure when you're working with your lactation consultant, you figure out what the problem is and then start to wean down. But trying to put the baby to breast is going to obviously help the baby to start adjusting back to the breast, and the breast feels really different than a shield. The shield is more like a nipple on a bottle. Okay, so trying to do it when the baby is a little more sleepy can help. Make sure the baby's mouth is nice and wide open, your latch and your position are good. When you do put them on, pull them in really, really close, because the baby needs to get the nipple from the breast all the way back to where the hard and the soft palate meet in their mouth, which is pretty far back. And it's hard to do that for a baby that's used to a shield. Okay, so holding the baby very, very close, where their nose and their chin are both touching your breast. You'll need to angle, and we went over this last time, right, Jamie? We're angling the head so that the head is angled so the baby can breathe, and you can really pull the baby in closer. That's definitely going to help. Sometimes pumping a little bit right before the feeding will help to draw out the nipple so that the nipple is nice and pulled out for the baby to latch onto. Plus, it will help to get the letdown going before the baby goes on. Once the baby starts to taste and feel that milk flowing, they're more likely to stay latched on and continue with the feeding. Don't wait till your baby is super hungry. Waiting till the baby's crying, they're going to be way more frustrated. And so you want to look for your baby's hunger cues, like hands going to the mouth, making that smacking noise with their lips, and try to catch them before they cry. You don't want to wait for late signs, okay? Because it's just going to make them frustrated. And if the baby does get frustrated while they're at the breast or you're trying to get them onto the breast, stop and put the nipple shield back on and go back to the nipple shield for that feeding and try again the next time. The worst thing you could do is get the baby to have an aversion or to feel like it's just traumatic to be at the breast. We don't want to do that to the baby. We want this to be a pleasant experience. And so maybe just waiting till the next time. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It could take a little bit of time, but with patience and some of the tips like I'm talking about, the baby will transition off the shield. I personally, in my practice, I have never had a baby that had to stay on the shield the entire time they were nursing without the mother choosing to have it that way. So they do eventually wean off of that. I've heard some people talk about like cutting away at the shield to get it smaller and smaller. I would not advise of that. When you cut the shield, it can get sharp edges. So no cutting. This is about, just transitioning.
That's interesting because, my sister used nipple shields with the twins because they were so small. Yeah. And she weaned off the shields, and I don't remember what process she did. She just kind of stopped. But with the weaning off the shield to the breast, and I could be completely wrong, so correct me, but would this be a time where introduction of a bottle that helps them open up and get a really nice big latch, would that help the transition from a nipple shield to breast as a tool?
I would say no. I would say that it would actually have an opposite effect because what you're trying to do is get them to go to the breast, which is a much different type of suck. In fact, the shield and the nipple on the bottle are very similar in feeling. They're both silicone. They're formed and they're hard and they're easy to latch. And what winds up happening is the baby will try to lift their tongue with a bottle or a nipple shield. The baby will lift their tongue to the roof of their mouth to try to block the flow sometimes, and they suck differently. With a breast, what they want is you want the tongue down and extended out. And so one thing you can try is doing some suck training with the baby where you're inserting your index finger or your pinky into the baby's mouth right before feeding and with the nail down, and allow the baby's tongue to drop down so that you can train them to suck in a different motion than what they do with a bottle or with a shield. So I don't think that using a bottle is really going to help because it's sort of teaching them something similar to what they know.
Well, see, I learned something new all the time.
Yeah.
Diana has a question. If my body didn't respond to the pump with my first baby, will it happen again with the second?
Well, if you use the same pump, it may, because it may be a pump that's not working for you. And it depends on what happened. When you say your body didn't respond to the pump, there's many things that could have been wrong. Like, for example, we showed you in the video that one of the features on this breast pump that it comes with multiple flange sizes included because you may need a different size than what you were using. Most pumps will come like this. It has a hard flange. It comes with one in the box. And then because only one comes in the box, moms don't know that these come in different sizes, in many different sizes. And so they just think they need to squeeze into the one that came into the box. And then what winds up happening is because it's not the right size, it hurts and then the milk doesn't come out and you say, I didn't respond to a pump. But that doesn't mean that you wouldn't respond to any pump or given the right size that you would respond. The other thing too, is we talked about in the video is the independent speed and suction controls on this. And there's a pump on the market. I'm not going to say the name of the pump. It is a very popular pump that has a button that you push that the milk, it kind of changes the speed and the suction for you. What happens there is that's great if you don't want to think about it, but it's not that every mom is going to have that speed or let down to that speed. So if that's the only option that you have and you're pushing the button and it's going really fast and it's not the speed you need, then yes, you are the person that will not respond to that pump. With this one of the reasons why, and I read somebody writing earlier that, you have to adjust the speed and suction, and it could take a little more time, but there's a reason for it. We could make it really easy, but this actually is going to be easier in the long run, because let's face it, the whole point of having a breast pump is to get your milk out, not to make it just easy. We want to make it easy, and we also want to get the milk out. Having these kind of controls is going to give you the ability to stimulate multiple letdowns of milk. That means just like your baby does when the baby's at the breast, you're going to keep emptying the breast as much as possible, triggering another release, another milk expression over and over again by using the dials properly. And if you watch my 3-stage pumping method, which, by the way, you guys, everything that, if you registered at that link tonight, not only do you get entered to win the pump, but on the flip side of that, once you register, you'll see a whole page there that will explain to you. We'll have all the videos that we go over. It's the breast pump checklist that we watched tonight. It's my 3-stage pumping method. It's about flange fitting and just everything that you really need to know, plus the way to get your pump through insurance. And, you know, I don't know if everybody knows that you can, most insurances will cover a breast pump. So there's 2 links there and some instructions on how to get your breast pump through insurance.
Yep. You go through a DME, not your insurance provider.
That's right. That's right. So you want to make sure that, don't call your insurance. What Jamie's saying is so true. Like, don't call your insurance first, because very often you'll get a pump delivered to your door that you didn't want. Try, if this is the pump that you're looking for, go to one of the 2 links that I have on that website that we put here, and look for your insurance. If you don't see it there, you can message me, because I'll help you find someone that does have it.
Krista has a question. Should I pump after each feeding?
Not regularly, no. No reason to pump after each feeding. What you'll do is you'll wind up making an oversupply. Remember, the whole point is to make just enough for your baby. You want to feed your baby, so you don't need more, you don't need less. Unless you're trying to store up a ton of milk, which I don't really know the point of that, other than if you're trying to go back to work, you might want to pump a little bit. But pumping after the feeding, this actually, you know, this is advice that sometimes I hear, especially the OBs give in the hospital. I don't know where this came from, but it's like, feed the baby and then use the pump to get the rest of the milk out. There's really no end to the milk. The milk, it's always, your body's always making milk. It's like, it doesn't stop producing. So if you try to do that, all you're going to do is teach your body to overproduce, which can cause more issues like breast infections, plugged ducts, poor weight gain, gassiness in your baby. So it's not like too much. It's not like more milk is the answer. And if you're using a pump after breastfeeding, your body's thinking you're feeding twins. It's feeding the baby and it's feeding the pump. We don't need that. No. So the answer is no.
I'm getting more questions. Since we started a little bit late, so we'll go for like another 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gina, any tips on pumping more effectively with large breasts? I never feel empty after pumping. I have used a freestyle, I've used a hospital grade, same issue. I've used all the different nipple sizes. I assume she means flange. And the one I'm using is correct. So just advice for large breasts.
Advice for large breasts. There's really no difference. I mean, when you're breastfeeding, good support underneath the breast. There's a great product called a breast pillow that I had recently on my page. I did a show about it, and it's great. It really helps to hold the breast up when you're nursing. But when you're pumping, I mean, it could work for pumping too, just to keep them in a more upright position for pumping. But you know, one of the things that you know, there's no difference. It's really about your nipple size when it comes to pumping. And when you're looking at the flange, this piece here is about nipple size. It's not about breast size. And so people with very large breasts can use a very small size flange, and vice versa. You could have small breasts and need a bigger size flange. Everybody's different. So I don't think it's really about your breast size. One thing that does help with this pump is, this is not one of the functionality features, but it really should be. I'll show you this. And somebody just said that her pump is covered. This pump is covered by insurance. Should she get it? Yes, that's why we're here. Believe me, that's why we're talking about this. It's a great pump. So one of the
It's the only pump you see on my page.
There's a reason. There's a reason that Jamie and I work with Evenflo exclusively. It's not just that we're selling this pump. I work with this pump and this company because they're really creating a quality, good product with the features that are most important, and including both of my breastfeeding and pumping classes, so you have full education, and all at a price that's affordable, so most moms can actually afford it. Pumps shouldn't cost that much, and they've really designed something that has everything included, plus they're just amazing people. So yeah, I'm going to keep sitting here and saying, yeah, this is my favorite by far. The feature I was just showing you is the angle of the flange. The angle, most pumps will go straight out like this, and so when you put it on, you can't really see, but when you put it on, you have to kind of lean over. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like lean over to get the milk to flow down so it doesn't kind of backflow onto you. Evenflo created a sit back flange so that when you're just sitting there and you're pumping, you can sit back and the milk goes down, and it's really saving your neck and your back. So another great feature. And the other one too is these bottle holders. A lot of the pumps don't have bottle holders where you can put the milk in there, and so it's a nice small pump that can sit on your night table at night, and you're not going to spill your bottles or spill your milk, because you don't want to do that. Or if you're at work, sometimes you only have a small space on your desk to put the pump. This is not some big machine. It's going to take up less room, but have the efficiency of a hospital strength pump.
I just lost one. Hold on. I'm digging this question up.
Someone's saying here that how soon can they get their breast pump through insurance?
There was a question about that, and then the other one I was looking up. She asked, should you wait until the baby's born to order your pump?
No, definitely not. You can actually order your pump as soon as you know you're pregnant. They may not send it to you right away, but it's one of those things that you can take care of early. That means as soon as you know, sometime during the pregnancy, early on, take care of it sooner. Reach out to the DME that carries the pump, and you'll give them your information. Usually you need a prescription from your physician, and what they do is they check with your insurance, they verify everything, they approve everything, and then they'll wait until whenever your insurance says it's okay to ship, and once that time comes, they'll ship it out to you. But it's not something I would wait for at all. Get the breast pump while you're expecting, have it ready. Go through it, look at the instructions, learn how to use it, wash all the parts, and have it prepared for when you get home from the hospital. It may not be that you're going to be pumping right away, but you never know if you come home and you're struggling with breastfeeding, and you're calling up the lactation consultant, you're saying, I need to come in, but you can't get there till tomorrow. There's a lot of feedings between today and tomorrow that you still need to pump that milk. So don't wait, because it's one of those pieces of equipment. It's probably one of them. Besides that and your car seat are probably the two most important pieces of equipment that you're going to need as soon as your baby's born, to make sure that you can keep on breastfeeding in case you have an issue, and that you can get home from the hospital. Would you agree, Jamie?
Yep. This is a good one. Anna, if you start leaking milk at 29 weeks pregnant, should you start pumping before having baby, or just leave it alone?
Yeah, you don't need to start pumping before you have the baby. You're going to get crampy if you do that. When you pump and you stimulate the nipple, it's causing your brain to release oxytocin, which is the same hormone that causes uterine contractions. And so you're going to wind up with an irritable uterus, very uncomfortable, not sleeping good. And it's not necessary. A lot of moms will leak milk or colostrum before the baby comes, quite normal. And it's just your body telling you, yeah, I'm ready. The colostrum's there starting very, many, many weeks before you deliver. You may not see it. And so nobody get nervous if you're not leaking colostrum. It doesn't mean that you won't once the baby comes, but it's one of those things that can happen early on. And it's just saying, it's your body saying, we're prepared when you are. That's it.
Yeah. My mom leaked with I have sisters 20 years younger than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my mom leaked, and I was a horrible child to her during that. And whenever she would watch something on TV, she'd get emotional or whatever, and she'd start to leak. And we would go, honk, honk, here comes the milk truck.
See, and you knew, I think that was like a foreshadowing for you, Jamie, that you'd be talking about breast pumps and breastfeeding, huh?
Probably so. Yeah.
Somebody just said, who was this here? That they got their breast pump early and now she can learn with me. And what she's referring to there is the fact that both of my breastfeeding classes come with the pump, like I said earlier, and one of them, Simply Breastfeeding, is really so important to watch before the baby comes. I just had someone watch it recently, and they were having their third. She just filled out a survey after watching it, and it's just, she said, this is not my first baby, but I've learned so much. And it really, regardless of which baby you're having or which baby you're pregnant with, first, second, third, fourth, more, there's still more that you can learn that will just empower you to have the best experience, to get off to the right start, to not look back and say, oh my goodness, I wish I knew that, because it was so simple. I call it Simply Breastfeeding because it really is simple. And, a lot of people here are students of mine, I can see, and they've watched the classes and they do really, really well with it. So,
yeah, education is key.
It is key. It really is key. I mean, how many of you guys have learned something tonight just from listening, and you're already breastfeeding and you're going, I didn't know that. Oh, that's something new. There's always more to know, and it's just going to help you.
I think I've been going through like reading comments and stuff. I think one of the biggest shockers was about flange sizes for this. And there was even a woman who commented on the post earlier today about how she was like, is it possible I might need one flange for the left and a different size for the right? And Elise, already chimed in, was like, that is absolutely a possibility. We're not one size fits all. We're not perfectly symmetrical humans,
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when they were designing the pump, we sat and we talked about the fact that, do the multiple flange sizes need to come in every version of this deluxe advanced double, the advanced double electric, would the basic need all three too, or just the deluxe? And really in the end, the conclusion was that all the versions of this pump need all three sizes included, because this is not an accessory, it's a necessity, right, Jamie? So, how do you say? Necessary. It's a necessary. And yes, having the sizes right there, because you can't measure this. Like, it's not like a bra where you're like, okay, let me take a tape measure. I'll measure my nipple. I'll figure out which size I need. It's really going to come from trying it out to see which one works best for you, which one's most comfortable, which one are you expressing milk in the best. And so you really do need to have them to try them out. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's a really soft silicone flange. So it's got this like air cushion behind it. It's super comfortable. And yes, you may need one size here and another size here. And then 3 months goes by and you need completely different sizes all over again. So having them available, and they also make 3 other additional sizes that you can purchase. These are the most common sizes that come in the pump, but then there's others that you can buy.
Yeah, and on those silicone, inserts, I mean, the reason this whole thing started, A, I've known you forever, but B, my sister, I think it was with Grayson when she first tried this pump. or maybe it was Veda. It was one of the children. It was one of the babies. So she had tried and used almost every single pump that was out there. And when she first used the Evenflo pump, she called me and she was like, this is the most comfortable pump I've ever used, and I'm actually getting a lot more milk out. We have to find a way to work with them.
Yeah.
So actually my sister's personal experience with this pump that led to this for 3 years.
Absolutely. And we worked together for so long, but I wouldn't be doing this with this company and this pump if I didn't feel the same way.
Yeah.
That it's what you just said about your sister, about Jennifer's experience with comfort. So many people feel like they need to be in pain, that somehow there needs to be a really hard suction for it to work. And it's actually the opposite. The more comfortable you are when you're pumping, the easier your milk will let down, the more milk you'll express overall. And so it's like one of the most critical parts of it is to make sure that you are comfortable, right? The correct flange size, using your speed and suction dials properly so you don't just turn it all the way up. That's not how you use a pump. You don't just go and turn it full blast and think that's what's going to get the milk out. That's not how it works. You're stimulating a hormone response in your body the same way your baby does. Just like when you're nursing your baby, it's not supposed to hurt, right? Same thing with your pump. And pain can inhibit letdown.
Yep. There you go. Well, we've been going for an hour.
And let me tell you, this wasn't easy getting on here tonight or watching you frozen and speaking at a different time. But we did it.
It's also the blue jeans. It just is not liking us tonight for some reason.
Oh my gosh, I've never had this happen like this before.
No, it's weird on my end too. So I've just been trying to look at my phone a lot and eat my peanuts. So thank you all for hanging out. Make sure you enter at the link for the pump. Thank you, Shari. Thank you, Joe. I know he's listening.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, everyone at Evenflo.
Thank you, Evenflo.
And we'll be back again next month once we figure out what day we're all available, because it's starting to get busy again.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
We're going to see you next month at all? No, not till November, right?
November, yeah.
November. Okay. All right. Well, good night, everyone. It was great to spend time with all of you. And I have a big live stream tomorrow. Can I talk about it for a second?
Yeah.
Over on my page, go ahead and like my page. Come on over for the Facebook Live. Tomorrow is we're going to be talking about safer sleep, and I've got Rebecca Mickey on with me tomorrow.
Yay!
We're going to be doing a show together on safe sleep with Love to Dream. So love to have you guys come join us at 9 o'clock Eastern.
That's good. Rebecca's good people. So yay.
Yay.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone get off of Facebook and make sure you watch Young Sheldon on your DVR. Support my little buddy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. So be good. Peace out. Be good to each other.
Good night, everyone. Bye.